Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. So today I'll be doing something that you'd think is very hard, but it's quite easy. So we'll be making donuts. So I'll be having jelly filled and just regularly glazed. So if you want to see how this is made, just stay tuned. Alright, so to start we are going to be using 1 cup of milk, which I am going to heat in the microwave. So you want it to be just warm but not too hot, because you're going to add the yeast to this, and if it's too hot it will kill the yeast. So I use my thermometer just to check the temperature. So you want it to be at least well, not more than, 110 degrees Celsius. Next, I'll be adding a 1/3 cup of granulated sugar, and we are just going to mix that to combine it completely with the milk. So next we are going to add our yeast. So we're going to need 1 tablespoon of active dry yeast. So after that we're going to stir to combine everything, and we are going to place it at somewhere warm for about 5 to 10 minutes until the yeast has gotten very frothy. So next we are going to need 6 tablespoons of melted butter. So I'm starting with my butter, which I'm going to then put into the microwave just so it'll melt. Next, you just have to put it down to cool a little bit, because if it's too hot when you add it to the mixture, it will also kill the yeast. So we're going to start with 2 large eggs. I would advise you to crack these eggs in a separate bowl, because you don't want to get any shells in it, and also you don't want to get a bad egg. So on the safe side, do that. Don't do what I did. And then after cracking our eggs, we are going to add our slightly cooled melted butter, and to that we are going to be adding a teaspoon of vanilla. After adding our teaspoon of vanilla, we are also going to be adding a 1/4 teaspoon of nutmeg and a 1/2 teaspoon of salt. So now we are going to add our frothy mixture to our eggs, butter, vanilla, and nutmeg. So you're going to add slowly while stirring. Next we'll be adding our flour. So we need 4 cups of flour for this recipe. I'm adding a cup at a time, and I'm going to then stir to incorporate, and then while I'm incorporating, then I'll add the other 2 cups. So now we have a very sticky dough. Don't worry about it, that's normal. You haven't ruined it if you do try it, okay? So next what we're going to do is we are going to flour our clean surface, and we are going to turn our dough out onto that surface, and we are going to use our hands to knead for about 3 minutes. It's going to get really messy, but trust me, it'll be worth it. So now I'm going to do the window test. When you pull the dough apart, you should be able to get a little glass window. So I'm going to prepare a clean bowl with some oil. If you don't have the cooking spray, you can use regular oil just to base all around the bowl, and then we are going to add our dough into the bowl. So what you want to do is you're going to put it in and then you're going to flip it over, so that way the dough will be coated in the oil, and you are then going to cover it tightly with cling wrap or a clean dish towel. And what you're going to do, you're going to leave it in a very warm place for about 30 minutes to an hour until the dough has doubled in size. So right before you get your puffed up dough, you want to prepare a baking tray with parchment paper to rest your donuts on. Have our puffed up dough. It has more than doubled in size, so we remove our cling wrap and we are going to just punch a hole in the center to get rid of the excess air that has formed during the process. Next, we are going to flour our rolling pin to prevent it from sticking to our dough that we have turned out onto our clean and floured surface. So you are going to roll the dough out, but you don't want to roll it too thin, so about a 1/4 inch thick, and then we will get into our cutting process. So I have these donut cutters that I purchased on Amazon. So they come with about 5 different sizes. So today I'll be using the biggest size and also the smaller size to create the hole in the donuts. So they're very sharp, so you just need to push down onto it, twist, and voila, you have your circles. So after you have your circles, you are going to take them up and place them on that prepared baking tray that you have with the parchment paper. So I'm going to reshape my dough again and do the rolling process again and cut out the extra shapes that I want until I barely have any dough left. So this is where a tiny one comes into play. Use it to cut into the center of the bigger ones, and you can use those to also make very mini donuts. Alright, for the frying process, to start I'm going to be using my deep fryer, so I have it preheated to 310 degrees Fahrenheit. You don't want it too hot, but just because I love you guys, I'm also going to be doing it in my frying pan, just for those of you who don't have a deep fryer and I don't want you to feel left out. So we're going to fry until they're nice golden brown. So that's how they look. Now to the good old Dutch pot frying pan, yeah. So we're just going to heat it and then we are going to fry them. You don't want the oil to be too cold or your donuts, I was going to say dumplings, your donuts will be very soggy, so you really want to ensure that your oil is hot, and you're going to fry them and then flip it over so until they're nice and golden brown on both sides. So you see a nice golden brown color. Also, if you have a slotted spoon, that'd be so much easier to remove the donuts. Why do I keep wanting to say dumplings? Anyway, so it makes it easier to take out your donuts, because you also don't want to use a fork to stick it, because then you have a hole in your donut. So now we are going to move on to making our glaze. So for our glaze, we're going to need 2 cups of icing and sugar. And then we are going to need 1/3 cup of milk. And also a half teaspoon of vanilla. Then you're going to whisk it all together. So now you're going to want to dip your donuts into the glaze. You don't want to wait until the donuts have cooled completely, so you want to do it while they're still kind of hot. Now Glaze and I have a love-hate relationship because sometimes I feel like less is less and then I end up adding more and then it gets a little bit watery. So if you have that problem, just always add a little bit more ice and sugar to make your glaze a little bit thicker. Alright, now to do the jelly filled donuts. If you follow my Instagram, you will see that I had made pineapple jam. So I'll be using my pineapple jam to fill up my donuts. So we're just gonna stick it to the side and inject it in. Pretty simple. If you don't have an injector like I do, I believe I was researching and I saw that you could use like a piping bag. So you would just dig a little hole in the side and use a piping bag to inject the filling in, and then of course I'm just gonna dip it into my glaze. And there you have it, guys. Donuts, simply glazed and also jelly filled. So if you do try this recipe, remember you can tag me on Instagram at jaysway876. Don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube, like, comment, and share my videos. Thank you guys, and see you later.